Hi, this is Kerry Lee with the Self-Discovery Wisdom School, and I am here today with Liesel Teversham, and she is our CliftonStrengths expert with the school. Liesel helps introverts build confidence. She helps them work through blocks and fears that stop them and find and embrace their true authentic self or strength and self. Some of her favorite tools are EFT, which is the emotional freedom techniques, or tapping, and the Gallup Strengths Finder. Used together, they provide a solid foundation for any introvert, and really anyone, because I'm not so much an introvert, who wants to make a difference in the world in their unique way. All right, Liesel, welcome.
Thanks, Gary. It's so wonderful to be with you.
Yes, yes. And as you know, in the Self-Discovery Wisdom School and also in the intentional creativity tradition, which is what my modality of self-discovery, we have something called the red thread. And the red thread is a symbol for connection and communication and community as well. And so there's an ancient Chinese proverb that says, everyone who is destined to meet is connected by an invisible red thread. And that thread may stretch or tangle, but it will never break. And so I want to extend this red thread connection from me in the California in the United States to you all the way in England. Yes, and say welcome. And there's always an inquiry that comes with the red thread and extending the red thread so we can get to know each other more. And the question that I have for you right now is, what is one of your gifts that you have to offer the world?
I think what I most bring to the world is a sense of empathy for whatever somebody is going through. So sort of empathy, safety, groundedness, just feeling calm and just, an okayness with whatever it is.
I would say I have experienced that with you. Yes. Yes, yes. And as I mentioned, you are in England?
That's right. London,
Yes.
UK.
In
Yep.
London. Okay.
Mm.
Wonderful. I love that. Here we are connected so easily. So tell me a little bit more about your specialty. You have two specialties, really.
That's right. So my two tools, the one I learned first was EFT, emotional freedom techniques or tapping. And that is a way that we can help ourselves to get calm about the things that stress us out. Because when we stress out, we can't think clearly and therefore we can't take action. We can get stuck in overthinking and just like, what should I do? Indecision, not knowing what the next step should be. So EFT really helps us to get calm and grounded and therefore able to make decisions and take next steps. It's used for, we can use it for self-help, we can use it with a practitioner in groups. It's just a magnificent way to help ourselves.
Wonderful. I love that because you can do it by yourself as well.
Yes,
Power.
yes, exactly. Even children can learn it, Kerry. It's a simple, simple little recipe, but it can have profound, and I'm sorry that I said the word little because it's not so little. It's just a simple recipe with profound results that actually an engineer came up with. So it has got some practical science things in there as well as some energetic background. So it's a very, for me, it needs some grounding. It needs some, let's have our feet
Right,
flat on the ground.
right. Okay. And then you've got the CliftonStrengths.
CliftonStrengths is the other one that I added about 10 years after I learned EFT because it's one that helps us to look at life through the lens of what's already right with us. With EFT, we go to what's a problem and let me help solve the problem. And with strengths, we go, what's right with you already? And how can we make more of that? Because most often we're not even aware of our strengths. We think it's just this little thing we do, not knowing that for somebody else, what we do with such ease is possibly very difficult. So the two of these are just a wonderful combination because we can come at a problem or a challenge from both of those
I love
sides.
that. And that's really, I've heard you talk about this, but I really haven't heard it in that way because part of the beauty of the Self-Discovery Wisdom School is how holistic it is, all these different parts of it. So I love that you actually have done that in your own piece of what is being offered. That's great.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I love how they all interact as well or overlap slightly. Yeah. Okay.
absolutely.
But why is it helpful to discover our strengths through an assessment?
That's a great question, because often people think we know what our strengths are because it's what we are good at.
Right.
And that's not necessarily the case, Kerry. I've found so often that people can be really, really good with something, and people can tell, others can tell them, but you're so good with that. And inside they go, ugh, I hate it. So our strengths are not necessarily the things that we are good at, because we can learn a skill and we can do it over and over and become really proficient, but it may not be our natural strength that wants to pop out of us with no effort. And I've had clients who've built a life on things that they were good at but hated, and they ended up with huge health problems.
Yeah.
So you can talk from experience.
So that's the fish or fish in or out of the water.
Exactly. So why it's good to do it with an assessment is it because that assessment, the structure of it is set up in such a way that we can discover through that assessment things about ourselves that we would not have been overtly aware of.
Yes.
It's the things that are most easy for us that we almost discount and devalue because we go, but that's easy.
Yeah.
It's nothing special. Like for me to have empathy for a person, well, to me, it's almost like it used to be nothing special because it's just that thing that I do. And the same for you. Like I know with your beautiful positivity, it's just this thing that comes out of you, and you don't have to work hard at it. It just happens. But that's exactly the kind of things that we would possibly not be aware of in ourselves because it's so normal.
Yeah.
Because we live in that water, like a fish is in the water all the time, it doesn't know the water is there anymore. We breathe air all the time, so we kind of forget that it's there. And that's the same with our natural strengths, is we sometimes need something like an assessment that's like the Gallup assessment is scientifically put together after 40 years of research, to help us discover the things about ourselves that we might have discounted or put away because it's so easy or normal or natural for us.
Yes. And I can say that's absolutely true. This whole silver linings thing, which when the pandemic happened, that was my first move actually, is to start looking for the silver linings. That's exactly what I did. And I used to kind of feel, I'm going to say almost bad, that I would always be in that space of looking for the light, because when other people were really struggling and all that, because I thought it might be annoying, right? But now I realize it's just who I am. It's okay. And so I don't need to feel bad, right, that I may not be looking at the same perspective as others.
Yes.
I completely relax. I mean, you wouldn't think you'd want to feel bad about being positive, but in moments I wondered,
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean I like what's going on. It's just how I look at it.
Exactly. It's just a natural inclination for you to do that. And that's the thing, is for you it's so easy, and other people in that moment may desperately need that. And for you it's no effort to let it come out. It just happens. So it's amazing because, like you say, you can feel guilty. Often I find that people feel incredibly guilty about something. For me, it was running away from conflict all my life. I felt terrible that people called me out on it, and they called me names for it. They make us feel ashamed about some things about ourselves, and then we get like a low confidence about that thing. Whereas in fact, I have the ability to create win-win situations with my talent of harmony. So doing the assessment helped me to see it as a strength, whereas before I thought it was a big weakness in myself that I need to kill or fix.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's such a confidence builder. That's probably one of my main takeaways and benefits from having this experience with you, is, and my clients as well, is that the confidence it gives you that you didn't even realize you needed to have, right? That boost. So is it going to put, if someone does Clifton Strengths, will it put them in a box or another box?
That's a great question, because so many people are like, oh, I'm tired of, I don't want to be put in a box. I'm unique. And that's exactly what I love about this tool, is it tells us how unique we are. So it's not just another box. There are 34 different strengths, and the combination of them makes us incredibly unique. So I want to give you some stats there may be some scientific minds wondering, well, how can you prove that? So if we just take, for instance, your top 5, Kerry, or my top 5, or anybody else's top 5, the chance that somebody else has that top 5 in a random order is 1 in 280,000.
Oh, how interesting.
So that's already very unique. It's not just under every bush. But if we take the exact same sequence, Kerry, of your top 5, the chance that somebody else has that exact sequence of top 5 is 1 in 33.9 million. So now that gave me a little, like, it gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. You know, if I think about my country, South Africa, there is double that amount of people in South Africa. So that means I would have been 1 in 2 in South Africa. So it's, yeah, and that's only talking about your top 5. So we haven't included the rest of the 34 and that uniqueness. We haven't included your history, your background, your skills, your knowledge, your experience, your values, your goals. There can just be not ever another you on this planet.
Absolutely. You know, this is so interesting too, because one of my strengths is connectedness and seeing the links between things. And 1 in 33.9 million, right, for CliftonStrengths. Then the other 2 modalities, it's the same thing. Like it puts you in as unique as your fingerprint or your thumbprint category. And so when you add those other 2 modalities or methods of self-discovery, gosh, I wonder what the number is. I need a mathematician to come help figure out that one.
Yes, and that won't be us.
Nope. I'm good with color.
Right.
So what are the most common responses you get when people they do their strengths conversations? So they get their report on what their strengths are, and then they have a conversation with you afterwards. So what's a common response you get after that discussion?
Yeah, there's a few that always stand out for me that makes me smile so much. It gives me just a warm heart. Like people say, "You mean I'm not crazy?" Is one of them, because they've been thinking that they must be weird or difficult or, you know, just really strange for being the way they are. The other response can be, "You mean I can let go of the guilt now?" So that's that thing where we've been given a bad label about something and we've built up some guilt around it. And so we can just with a strengths finder, let go of the guilt. So people actually literally say that to me. And the other common response I get is just this incredible smile when I start giving people some information about it and then asking them, so where do you see this in your life? Because I make it really personal to their life. The smile, Kerry, it's just like it lights up their whole being. Every single cell in their body just starts smiling. And I can see the validation that happens. It's like
Absolutely.
somebody describes me and they make it a good thing.
Yeah.
That is just one of the most priceless gifts I have been able to give people and that I received when I got my strengths conversations.
Absolutely. That's like, to me, I just got the visual of that's like, you know, the bricks off the shoulders, the burdens they've probably carried their entire life, that with a conversation with you, that gets to be removed permanently.
Yes.
Right? By this discovery, this self-insight. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's
Powerful,
often
beautiful. And you get the smile. You get the gift of the smile.
I know, it's priceless and it puts me in such a good mood too.
Absolutely. So what would you say is the biggest way that it's helped you personally?
Definitely with confidence. I used to compare myself so much. There were friends of me that had huge confidence and they could, you know, like a coach who I used to call a kick-ass coach, and I could like not be like her. And I always had this idea, like if I want to make a difference in the world, I have to stand on a big stage and talk to thousands of people. And I was comparing myself to things that were going to be terribly hard for me to do, and I was, you know, falling short the whole time of that internal expectation of myself. And when I found out what my strengths were, I was like, oh, biggest relief, like you were talking, this burden that I was carrying, like a rod that I was measuring myself against, that was just not my rod. And I could put that down and say, oh, you know, what a relief. I can just be me with my soft
Yeah.
strengths, you know, that other people think, oh, too soft, you know, I need to toughen up or harden up or grow a thicker skin. No, I don't need to. This is exactly who I need to be so that others can benefit from this energy that I bring into the world. So that confidence and the like letting go of the comparison, it was a gift that I can't even describe the value of for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I have to say that my biggest gift is the same thing, is the confidence. And I'm a confident person. So I didn't even realize I like needed more confidence, but it's given it to me from a different perspective or a different angle. And I heard somebody say, oh, which, you know, you have a ladder of life, right? If you want to look at a ladder, maybe you take the easy winding path, or maybe you're taking the gondola, but we have this ladder, and is it leaning against the right mountain, right? Are you even making the right decisions on where to put your effort? You know? Yeah. And I now realize that the things I didn't want to do um, were decisions I made career-wise that maybe held me back. And I'll say specifically, one of my strengths is strategic thinking. And you gave me two words for that that were so profound for me. And the words that you gave me was like a battle general. And I'm like, yes, because I don't want to be the drill sergeant. I don't want to be managing people. You know, I'm a strategic thinker and an idea person, and the managing of the people and that stuff, it's not where I fit. And so I didn't ever think about not going through that middle ground, right? I just thought about how can I work around it and be independent and my own boss, and in sales because there was no ceiling and that kind of thing. And probably if I had known this, I would have even chosen different paths. No regrets on the path that I took, because I love where I'm at today using all of that. But that's a big one for me. And also just recently, I had a huge deadline. Well, I felt it was huge. I had a vision of something I wanted. And I was out to plan, I don't know, C or D. It kept falling apart. And the deadline time was getting closer. And because of knowing my strengths, it gave me the confidence that I don't need to freak out. Like, I got this, right? And that comes back to the battle general, the strategic thinking. And the way you defined it for me is we can always find a way. I have the ability to see options, to choose the best way, and then just go forward. And that's exactly what I did. Like, I didn't even think about it. I just saw it, chose it, went. Sometimes it didn't work out. Sometimes it did. Things out of my control. I like to go fast and I like change, so I can thrive in that. And, you know, I always say, I want the boat on the lazy river and to let my fingers, and I don't get that very often. So my other challenge to that is to make sure I do that, right? For the balance and the stress relief. So that's good to be aware that that's not a natural state for me. Yeah.
Yes.
I used to say my muse loves to procrastinate, because those ideas often don't come until the 11th hour, right?
Yes.
And again, now I'm realizing I don't need to stress on it. They will come before it's time, and they always have, but now I'm even more confident and comfortable with it. So that's what I mean by confident, right? Yeah. And
Yes.
then my number
Beautiful
4,
descriptions.
yeah, well, I'm living what you have taught me, you know. Number 4, one is adaptability. I respond to pressure in the moment. So that was just another one. And you said this to me: I stay as clear and calm as a lake, and I operate from that energy. And it was true. Like, I was really observing myself during this situation, and it's just like, all right, let's just paddle over here. Let's just paddle over here. So thank you for that gift of not having stress in that moment, and instead having confidence that I'll get through this with my positivity as well, you know?
It's beautiful for me to hear it in action, Kerry, and how much you've taken it on board, and like you can see them everywhere you go now. I think that's one of the most amazing things is when we know them, now we can go, oh my word, they were there all along, but I wasn't able to see them. I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
now we know we can count on them. They will never, ever, ever let us down. They will not.
Yes. Well, I felt that these learnings that I got from you and from Clifton Strengths were so important that it was a major piece of this curriculum of the school. Like, thanks to you and my experience with you, that's part of the reason this is all happening. So
Oh,
it is to you for
wow.
the work. So on that note, I want to ask you, was there a defining moment when you decided to dive deeper, learn more, and then start guiding others?
Hmm. Part of it was my journey with, let's say, difficult emotions, because in school, I ended up with depression. And I think part of the reason was my empathy talent was suppressed. I couldn't bring it forward in
Yeah.
school years for various reasons. So I was suppressing a big talent that I had, a strength that wanted to work and it couldn't. So I ended up with depression. But of course, doctors those years just popped up, here's pills. Swallow these pills, you'll feel better. So I was on antidepressants for many years. And I just started thinking, I cannot live with all these side effects anymore. So part of the reason I started looking for tools to help myself with emotions was because of, I'm not doing this pill thing anymore. And as I started learning these methods to help my own emotions, I got like, this is something I would really love to do
Yeah.
for other people too. So my talents started waking up, the ones that had been dormant, because I was a computer programmer at the time and I was working with logic, with reason, with computers. But I always knew people are very important to me and I never had tools to help them.
Yeah.
All my life they came to tell me their problems, but I didn't know what to do about it.
Right.
I had no tools. So it was like a gradual journey for me with little lights along the way, um, that opened my eyes to, oh, maybe there's another career in here.
Yep. I think so many of us have this turning moment where we really want to make a major shift in how we experience life and how we share it with others. So I always love to find out what that was for everyone. Yeah. So tell me what you're looking forward to with being a part of the Self-Discovery Wisdom School program.
Seeing the lights
Yeah.
in people, in people's eyes when they realize what they have to offer already, and they don't have to change. They don't have to fix themselves. They don't have to become different. They don't have to add another skill. They already have something really amazing and unique and special to offer the world. And just starting to relax into that just brings so much relief and like we said earlier. So I'm looking forward to the smiles and the discoveries.
Yes.
Part of my talents, just love the journey of getting to know others and how they work and relationships. I've got many relational strengths. So building relationships and connecting with people is just very, very important to me. So I'm looking forward to all the connections being formed from all across the world in the
Yeah.
most unlikely ways with this red thread connecting
Yes.
us.
Yes.
So those are some of the things, Kerry. Yeah.
Exactly. So, do you have any particular words of wisdom for someone who's in transition right now? They're kind of looking for their own North Star, you could say.
Mm. Well, one of the ones is obviously get to know your strengths, because that is a huge thing for us to be able to find what really is easy for me to flow towards is the natural strengths and abilities and talents that we already have. And then I just want to add, with the addition of some patience, compassion and kindness for yourself. And that's things that we don't always know how to do because we're taught to push, try harder, push through the difficult things. So that's where my tool of EFT is just another huge addition, so that we can learn how to not dampen, what's the right word, like process all the difficult emotions that go together with a change journey. So that we can help have compassion and kindness for ourselves as we're going through this, because change is not easy for any human being. Transition is hard for us. We get to this place of homeostasis and our bodies and minds wants to stay there because it feels safe. At least it's the devil we know. So
Right.
changing direction is hard for us to face, and we need lots of compassion and love and kindness for ourselves.
Yeah. And life constantly is changing. So it's good to be prepared. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. All right. You have something special you want to share with us.
Yes, I just share this with my strengths clients, a quote from somebody called Martha Graham, who was the mother of, let's say, modern dance or ballet. And she wrote this in a book that she wrote. She said, "There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And there is only one of you in all time. This expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it.
Mhm.
So that, oof, I always want to cry when I read this because
I'm a little like that too.
I truly feel the importance of it when I read it in her words. It's like there will never be another human being like you in the whole world, ever. And if you don't keep that channel open that can let all the creative juices that's inside of you, and not just creativity as in art and drawing, but just what wants to be created through you.
Yes.
If you don't keep that channel open, it will be lost forever.
Yes. And every human being has their version of creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing yourself and your work and your passion with us and being a part of the Self-Discovery Wisdom School. Super excited. And where can we learn more about you?
Thanks, Kerry. So my website is savvyselfgrowth.com. savvyselfgrowth.com. There's loads and loads of free resources on there, articles, podcasts, videos, things like that. So people are welcome to browse there. And I want to thank you very, very much, Kerry, for for giving me this massive blessing of being part of this wisdom school. I just love the name when I heard it. It's so a total comprehensive package of you that goes into the.
It is. And we're not teachers, we're guides. That's really important to me. It's about self-discovery with guidance and someone walking next to you. You know, that's really, it's a school, yes, and it's wisdom, yes, but it's self-discovery. So
Yes.
And so if someone wants to find out more about the school, right now you would go through my website, which is kerryleeart.com, or there is a Facebook group as well, the Self-Discovery Wisdom School. All right. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry.
Okay.